Thank you so much for joining for this Yizkor service. The participation and the crowd means a lot. What you were just watching was a Kel Malei Rachamim that was set for the 6 million Holocaust victims at the Siyum HaShas at the conclusion of the entire Talmud in front of 100,000 people this past January. And the faces you were seeing were elderly Holocaust survivors. And tonight, as we pay tribute and we focus on our lost loved ones, I hope I could personally hold it together. I pray that although this Yizkor service is not our usual kind, that you still find meaning within it, and that in the next 30 to 40 minutes, we can connect to what's real, what's eternal, what's beautiful. I want to start by asking our chairman, Wayne, if you don't mind just to put on your video and greet everybody. And thank you so much, and look forward to hear a few words. Following that, we will hear some music from our music team. Wayne, here you are.
On behalf of myself, Wayne, Rabbi Avtzon, my fellow executive, I welcome you to this evening's Yizkor service. The importance of elevating the souls of the departed is encapsulated in the prayer of Yizkor. What better way for people in this world to honor their departed loved ones? We thank Rabbi Avtzon for facilitating this initiative, which, although different, we hope will bring meaning and togetherness for everyone present. The importance of Yizkor on Yom Kippur resonates with all. We are grateful that we can offer Yizkor to our community, both in shul and with the use of technology to all of those that will not be able to attend shul. We will miss your presence, and we look forward to the end of this pandemic so that we can see you in person soon. May you have a meaningful fast. Wishing you all good health, happiness, and sustenance. Shana Tova.
Thank you so much, Wayne. We continue now, or rather we begin with Kol Nidrei, the beautiful musical tune that we sing at the beginning of Yom Kippur. Obviously, nothing could replace being in shul. At the same time, we want to recreate for ourselves and for all of us here something that is as close to the original as possible. So I'm going to ask Gaby to lead the Kol Nidrei. If you have a Yom Kippur Machzor in front of you, which would be recommended because when we do the Yizkor, you'll be able to read it inside. You'll find the Kol Nidrei at the beginning on page 58. Thank you so much, Gaby. Take it away.
Kol nidrei v'yesarei v'shuei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinusei v'chinuyei din darna Udeyishtabana, Udeyacharimna, Udeyacharimna, Udasarna, Al Nafshatana, Miyoim Kippurim Ze Ad Yom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Letoiva Bechul Hoin Icharatna ve'on kula Yehon Sharan. Shviki. Shviti. Vitalin ufutalin, lo sheririn velo kayamin, niderana, lo nidere, veyesarana, lo yesare. Ushvuatana la Shavuot.
Gaby, thank you so much. That was magnificent. I want to sing, although my job is not a singer in the show, I want to sing one melody for Yom Kippur from the evening service that gets to me every time. If you have your machzor, it is on page 102. Yale tachnuneinu meyede v'yavoi shavosenu mi boyike v'yedale v'nuneinu Ad Olev Yale Chilenu Meyedev V'yavoi Tzidkosenu mi boyker V'yedale Pidyoyineinu Ad Olev Yaleinu Yeinu Meyedev V'yavoi slichaseinu mi boyker V'yedalo enakoseinu Ad Olev Yaleminu seinu meyedev V'yavoy lemano yimi boyker V'yedo ekipudeinu Ad Olev Ad Olev Oyevei yale yishayinu meyedev V'yavo yitodeinu mi boyker V'yeyedo echidnoneinu ad Olev Ad Olev Yale Zichroineinu Meyedev V'yavoy v'yodeinu mi boyker V'yeyedo Hadloseinu Ad Odev Ad Odev. Before I share a few words and play and then we'll say Yizkor, just going to play one piece of music that we have from our music team, a beautiful, magnificent piece. And following that, we will share a thought. We will say Yizkor together, and then listen to the Ani Mamin and a special Yizkor for the soldiers of Tzahal. 1 second. Just going to share the screen. Sorry. Usually this is simpler. Okay. Try one more time. If not, I'll just leave it. Okay. Sorry. Here. So let me share a few words about Yizkor. Yizkor, memory. Hashem's going to remember. Yizkor Elokim. May Hashem remember. We're told that the reason it's called Yom HaKippurim, not just Yom Kippur, Yom HaKippurim, which is a plural word, double, is because not only do the living get atoned on this day, those who left us also get atonement on this day. They're also cleansed. They also get upgraded. And how is that? Through us, through you and me, doing things in the honor of our loved ones. Now, each year and each time that we say Yizkor, it means something. Personally, my custom is we didn't say Yizkor the first year. After my father's passing, we stayed in shul, but we didn't say it. So the first time I actually said Yizkor, my dad, was in lockdown. It was Pesach this past year. And the second time I said Yizkor was Shavuot in lockdown as well. So I've never said Yizkor for my father in shul yet. So the previous 2 times we said Yizkor, Yizkor was in a garden alone, as I'm sure many of you are going to have on Yom Kippur as well. But this is what I'm going to be thinking about this year, Yizkor. When I think about my father, all my grandparents, all the relatives that died in World War II, I'll be thinking about their strength, their tenacity, the fact that they lived through very challenging times and they came out stronger. Because in this year, in this COVID reality, more than anything else, we're looking for strength. We're looking for grit. We want to walk out of this, not weaker and more broken than we walked in, but stronger and more resolute and more at peace than we were. And in order for us to do that, we need to take inspiration from those who preceded us, from generations before. I think about my grandparents, each one of them, who lost siblings and parents in the Holocaust, all 4. Think about my grandmother, my father's mother, who buried her parents with her bare hands and slept. They died at night. I think it was my great-grandmother died at night. And my grandmother wanted to make sure that she gets a spot for her in a Jewish cemetery in Leningrad. This was during the Nazi siege. And there were very few spots left. So my grandmother slept that night in the freezing cold Russian winter in the graveyard. on that spot where she was going to bury her mother next morning. And my grandmother suffered for the rest of her life from that. She lost teeth. She was very sick, and unfortunately, she passed away from cancer in her early 60s. I think about my grandfather, who was the sole survivor. Just a month ago, at the beginning of the month of Elul, was the yahrzeit of his father, mother, sister, brother, and their children, 2 boys each, 2 young boys from each family, so 4 young boys, all shot in one pit in the Ukraine in 1941, in September. Think about my uncle, a 2-year-old boy, my mother's oldest brother, who, due to the sickness and ailment rampant after my grandmother ran away together with her few children and few babies, because my grandfather was in the Russian army at the time. The starvation and the lack of medicine, my 2-year-old uncle died somewhere in Uzbekistan. No one knows where he's buried. Lost. His name was Zusha Khazan, 2-year-old kid. Died in 1942, I believe. And I think about your relatives, your parents, your grandparents, came to this country, built herself up from nothing. My wife Chaya, her mother's family is South African. And Chaya's great-grandfather arrived in this country, built himself up, then went back to the shtetl in Lithuania to find a wife, found a girl 20 years younger than him. He was in his 40s. Got back here, had 4 children in Putch. And when the oldest son was only 16, it was Chaya's grandfather. The great-grandfather passed away in the late 40s in Putch, leaving a widow with 4 young children. You might know some of them: Izzy Kirsch, Nati Kirsch, and Chaya's grandfather, Shlomo Kirsch. Each one of them went on to make lives for themselves in different ways. I just think about the tenacity of that previous generation. Incredible grit and passion to live that they lived. So when we say Yizkor in just a moment, think about their strength. Sometimes their strength led to an imperfect family life. I know when many people say Yizkor, they are a bit conflicted, because as much as they love their parents left a very complicated legacy. Not everybody grew up in a beautiful, functional home. A lot of us grew up in homes that were damaged, imperfect. And when a person thinks of their parents, they often struggle to see them in that light, in a pure, beautiful light. But I would encourage us all that when we say Yizkor, to come with an atmosphere of Yom Kippur, which is an atmosphere of forgiveness. An atmosphere that says, I understand the lives they lived and what it did to them. And yet I appreciate the fact that they gifted me with life. And I say thank you for that life, as imperfect as it is. And I learn from them strength, tenacity. So to each and every one of us, may Hashem watch over. May Hashem protect us during this time. And Yizkor, may Hashem remember the good deeds that our parents did, that we shall be at peace. And v'yanuchu b'shalom mishkavam. If you have the machzor, I encourage you to open the machzor now. If not, I'm opening it on the screen. It's in your machzor on the page 472. So it starts on 470, the paragraph. Yoshe b'seiser elyon b'tzel shaddai yislanon. Emar ladinoi machsim tzudasi lehayef tachtoi. Ki yatzilcha mipach yakush midevad avois bevdasa yasef loch v'sachas knaf of techsa. Tzina v'secheva mitoy lo'sida mipach adloila mechetzi of yamam. Midever boifel yalech miketev yoshut tzadoi mitzpol mitzidcha elef v'levava meminecha elecha lo yigash. Rak beinecha sabit v'shelumas l'shoim tira. Ki ata adina machzi elyon samtum beinecha l'suna elecha lo v'nega l'yikra ba'alecha. Ki malacha v'yitzav alach l'shmorcha b'chol v'lachecha. Al kapayim yisa'uncha b'ntigach b'evan naglecha. Al shachav afes and tidrech to mois kefir v'sanim. Ki vicha shaklaf al teu as agveu ki yadashemi. Yikraeni v'aneyu imay anika v'tzalach al teu v'achadeu. Oirech yamim asbiyeyu v'adeyu b'shuasi. Oirech yamim asbiyeyu v'adeyu b'shuasi. First Yizkor we say for one's father, and then for one's mother. My mother, thank God, may she live for many years. I'll just be saying for my father, but then I will scroll down, and if you'll be saying Yizkor for your mother, feel free to say it. Yizkor Elohim, Yishmat Avi Mori, Yona and Meir, She'alach La'olamo, Ba'avur, Shebli Neder Eten Tzedakah Ba'ado. Yischarzeh, Tehi Nafsho Tzura B'tzora Chaim, Im Nishmot Abraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah, Ve'im Sha'ar Tzadikim B'tzidkoniyot Shebegan Eden, V'nomar Amen. May God remember the soul of my father, my teacher, who has gone to a better world, because I will, without obligating myself with a vow, donate charity for his sake. And I encourage you, if you say these words, that you're going to donate charity, to do it quickly. I just shared earlier today in the shir that one of the great sages would not break his fast after Yom Kippur until he donated the money. He actually gave the money he promised in the memory of his parents. Because if we say this, then we owe it to our parents to give that tzedakah, whatever we give and to whoever we give. Now for mothers. Before we say a special Yizkor for the Holocaust victims, I'm going to ask Ori to sing the song Ani Ma'amin. I believe in perfect faith for the coming of Mashiach.
Ani ma'amin באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח
המשיח אני מאמין. בביאת המשיח, בביאת המשיח אני מאמין. אני מאמין, אני מאמין, אני מאמין. באמונה שלמה, בביאת המשיח, בביאת המשיח אני מאמין. ויף על פי שיתממש, עם כל זה אני מאמין. אני מאמין, אני מאמין, אני מאמין.
So as mentioned before, I'm going to make a Yizkor for the martyrs of the Holocaust. And then following that, I'm going to ask the Brill brothers to make a Yizkor for the members of the Israel Defense Forces, Chayalei Tzahal, who died for protecting our land. If you have the art scroll Siddur, it's a Machzor, it's on page 472, the bottom. Yizkor Elohi Nishmois Kol Ktoiva Yuktoiva Yisai Ein mitzad avi, ein mitzad imi Hakdoshim ve'atodim Shehu mesu v'shenevdu V'shani ishchatu v'shani yislefu v'shani yitpiyu v'shenechniku al kiddush Hashem v'avud shebli nederet ein tzedaka Biadas kodas nishmo yisayem Bishar zeh tiyena nafsho yisayem Tzeduroi spitzroi lachayim Im nishmo yisavedam Yitzchok v'Yaakov, Sada Rivka Rachel v'Leah, V'im sheyar tzadikim b'tzidkani Yoshe ben Gan Eden, v'noyemar. Amen. And ask the Brill brothers to do something for Chayalei Tzahal, and then we're going to do an askara, and with that we will conclude. Sorry, I was going to ask you guys to. Okay, good, go for it.
רבותינו הקדושים הקדושים, הוא יברך את חיילי ישראל ואת חיילי ישראל, מי שברך אבותינו הקדושים הקדושים, הוא יברך את חיילי ישראל ואת חיילי ישראל, השם ישמור ויציל אתכם, השם ישמור ויציל אתכם, את חיילינו.
Shkoyach for all the guys who did music today. Each one of them was absolutely magnificent. We're going to do a Kel Malei Rachamim. Please have in mind the person or persons that you are saying Yizkor for. When I make a pause. Ele Malei Rachamim Shoyechein Bamroyim Hamitzei Menucha Nechoina Ale Kanefei Ashchina B'malois Kedoshim Utahoirim Kezoyad Arakim Azidim Es Nishmois Shehalchu Li'olamam Bavur Shebli Neited Etein Tzedakah B'yad HaZekaros B'shmo Yiseihem Begane Yiden, Tehei Menuchasam, Lochein Baladachamim, Yastirei Meseiser Kenofav Liyoyelamim. V'yitzroy b'tzroy l'chaim es nishmo yiseihem Adonai hu nachalasom V'yonuchu v'shalom al mishkevo yiseihem V'noyemal Friends, I wish you a meaningful fast. Whether we're going to see you in Shul or not, we'll be together. And I pray for a time very soon that we can see each other without masks for who we truly are, and that we never take human connection and love for granted. Sometimes people have to pass away for us to appreciate what they meant for us. And sometimes they don't have to pass away, they just have to be in lockdown for 7 months for us to appreciate what they mean to us. For those of us who have faribbles with people, with loved ones, relatives, although it's less awkward to make peace with a tombstone, and it takes courage to make peace with a living person, do it. Next 24 hours before Yom Kippur, do it. Doesn't mean you have to become besties. It means that you clear your heart. All too often, we live with regrets of what could have happened with the relationship with those who left. Well, many of our relatives are still alive. And Yizkor also reminds us to appreciate them. For those who weren't here at the beginning of the